it is very possible that the greatest danger to ourselves, the greatest threat to our spiritual development, is the very thing that we've been praying for, the blessings, quote unquote, of Elohim. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10 Minute Torah, day number 4, Torah portion of Vayislach. Let's go over to the end of chapter number 33, where we read these words in verse 17 and following. And Yaakov set out to Sukkot and built himself a house and made booths for his livestock. That is why the name of the place is called Sukkot. And Yaakov came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of the Kenyan, when he came from Padan Aram, and he pitched his tent toward or before the city. And he bought the portion of the field where he pitched his tent from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 kesita. And he set up a slaughter place there and called it El Elohe Israel. A point of clarification before we go into the text. Yesterday I made a statement that seems to have caused a bit of confusion, and I didn't realize that that's exactly how I may have phrased something. I referenced Joseph being of a mixed race. What I was thinking was not about Joseph the individual, but the house of Joseph. And that is that the sons of Joseph are of Mitzrite and Hebrew mixed relations. So I apologize for the confusion. My bad. And I appreciate those who caught that and called me on it. And that's very much appreciated as well. If I say something that's debatable, that's one thing. But if I'm in error, I need to be corrected. And sometimes, just being human, we think one thing and say another. And that was one of those occasions. So again, thank you for the general confusion questions that came across. Hopefully that clarifies it again. It's not Joseph, but rather his sons. Ephraim in particular, who is the carrier, if you will, of the identity of the house of Joseph, or the house of Ephraim, or the house of Israel. In my estimation, all being synonymous. And Ephraim is indeed, as his brother Manasseh, they are all of mixed relations, and therefore a mixed people. Okay, hopefully that clarifies. If not, text me or email me again. Let's continue on with Yaakov for the present moment. Yaakov settles down. He is going in a process of moving out of tents and into a house. He builds corrals and barns for his flocks and his herds. And I understand that. He's wanting a sense of permanence. He's wanting someplace to be and to belong. He chooses to do so in the valley of Shechem. Now, I've been to this particular area in the valley of Shechem. It's beautiful to some degree. Right now, presently, there is this large city of Nablus that is Palestinian. Signs posted that if Jews enter in, they do so at their own risk, that they may well be attacked, shot, killed. They openly admit that on their signs. So Jews don't go in there. I've been around the outskirts of it then and up to Ilan Moreh on the opposite side. This is where in Bereshit chapter number 12, Genesis chapter 12, Abraham encounters the Most High. He has an open vision and sees Yah in some form. Looking across the valley, you see on your left Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal on your right. I stood there that day that we were touring that area, knowing that Abraham would have moved his flocks and herds in and around that valley and up through the gap between those two mountains. And this is a place of residence for him. So Yaakov may have chosen to settle toward Shechem for that reason. It has lineage attached to it. It has familiarity. It's a place of visitation in the past. There is a danger, though, when we make a parallel comparison to ourselves in this manner. He buys land from the local king, involving himself in the community, if you will. And it says that he builds an altar there, and he is crying out that this is the mighty one who is the Elohim, or the master of Israel. That's worthy. That's a positive thing. But let's also continue on with the idea that he may be dealing with. Yaakov has come through the trial and dealt with the stuff. He fled from his original home. He lived for 20 years with his uncle Laban, was thoroughly tested, barely got out with that which belonged to him, but he came out wealthy, not without challenge, but he came out blessed, and he had what he needed, only to encounter Esav, and it would seem that he escaped. Esav seems to have a tender heart toward him momentarily, but we all know that this is to be short-lived. So he's settling down. Maybe my trials are over. Maybe now I can have a life to live. I can be normal like everybody else. I don't have to be continually looking over my shoulder. I can enjoy my family and my position and my home. Nothing wrong with any of those things per se. The issue is, though, that it's here when we've settled down and we believe our stuff to be behind us that we may face our greatest danger. Something that is more dangerous than Laban and more dangerous than Esav. What could possibly be more dangerous than those men? Assimilation. Assimilation. I have a good friend who lives in Israel, who in his last visit with us shared that more feared and dangerous to those who live in Israel than the nuclear threat from Iran, or missiles of over 100,000 count on the borders of Lebanon, or the threat of continual violence from the Palestinians. More dangerous to them than the idea of annihilation at the hand of their enemies is annihilation of their people through assimilation. They fear their family members being converted away from their culture, their language, their identity, to accept something else. That's their greatest fear. That's their greatest danger, and it's ours, in the respect that being assimilated to this present world, settling down for the here and now, is dangerous to us. Thank you, Father, that you always, or you don't always, allow us to be comfortable. There's enough tests or testings. There are enough issues to work our way through, to pray our way through, to keep us on our toes. Let's be honest about this. As Yaakov tries to deal with the local government, is represented by King Hamor of Shechem. While there is peace and while there is acceptance, everything is good. But there's going to be a problem. We are too dependent upon the state of our government here in the United States as to whether or not it is in our favor, whether it is to our liking. We've had 4 years of Donald Trump, and now we don't know if it's going to be Biden or Trump yet at the time of this recording. And there are those that are basing their joy or their fear on the outcome of that. Don't assimilate. Our joy is not dependent upon situations. It's the Spirit of Yah. Be joyful in your Messiah. Rejoice in Him and don't assimilate. We'll talk more tomorrow. Until then, shalom.